So let's talk about Capedo. We have seen the flaring of insecurity in Capedo once again. So far, security officers have been deployed there. There's a joint multidisciplinary operation that brings in the GSU, the Rapid Deployment Unit, the Anti-Stock Theft Police Unit, and others who are in the area. And they're trying to pursue the people who are armed and in an operation to pacify the region. So far, 10 people have died, among them 4 security officers. Local leaders have been doing what local politicians normally do, and this is, excuse me, they come up with statement after statement. Oh, this has been incited by the other side. This is, the work of our political detractors from the other side. This is the work of other people who are sponsoring criminal elements on the other side, and those ones need to be arrested. And we have seen now leaders being told, come on, hold the peace. The Rift Valley Regional Commissioner, George Natembeya, is the man on the ground and is the man who's coordinating bringing peace to the area. But whenever you hear about Kapedo, it comes up the same way. You ask yourself, what is the root cause of the problems in Kapedo? What is the way to lasting solution in Capedo? Bona George Natembeya, the RC for Rift Valley, joins us now on the line. Let's have a conversation with him. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Salama kabisa, and thank you very much for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Right. So let's just start with that background, Bona RC. What is the problem in Capedo? It is not the first time. This is not the first year. It's not even the 5th year that we hear of insecurity around that region.
That's very true. The problem in Capedo has been perennial.
Yeah.
Of course, initially it was just ordinary stock theft that people used to regard it as cultural. And it used to happen at specific times, especially around December. And therefore, young men were looking for animals to pay dowry and that kind of stuff. But the problem has now metamorphosed into something different. It's become commercial and it's being controlled by cartels who are providing firearms and ammunition to local people who go and raid their neighbors. And the animals who raided find their way into markets. In fact, our conservative estimates that almost 70% of all the meat consumed in Nakuru and Nairobi is from stolen livestock. So the problem currently is basically commercial.
But by the time you have criminal elements actually getting themselves so organized to get access to firearms, to arm people, and then the cattle that is stolen find its way into the market, 70% of meat consumed in Nakuru and Nairobi, that's a very high number, Bonarsi. Yeah. Where are the security forces in this?
As I said, this thing is a cartel. And the cartel involves some of us, of course, because they have to bring on board. Anybody who may prove by an impediment to the business is either killed or compromised. That's why by law, you're not supposed to transport livestock from 6 in the evening. But most of the animals slaughtered at Dagoret and the meat taken to Burma is transported at night. Yeah. There was this in Kamkunji where Burma is, and we tried to stop this. It was impossible. So it is a cartel. It's like mafia. And then number 2, as you correctly put, the government went to sleep at some point. And therefore, a culture of impunity developed in that area. You remember around 2014, 21 officers were killed in cold blood in that area. In Baragoy, another 42 were killed. What were the response of government? We did nothing. In fact, the worst bit is that you find a commissioner of police. After such an incident, he transfers all his officers. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't go after criminals. He removes his officers from there because, like, removing them from danger. Then what happens with the local people there? So a culture of impunity has developed over the years where criminals believe that everybody's game, whether you are not a man, a baby, a woman, a security officer.
Bonarsi, these individuals are in government, as you've said. Those who have an opportunity to do something, who have an
not all.
opportunity to do something about it, but essentially are turning a blind eye. So it looks very bad if the citizens look up to security agencies whose responsibility essentially is to take care of them, but are turning a blind eye in terms of any action that should be taken when their lives come under threat. It seems like a very gloomy outlook when it then comes to the security situation in the country. How
You know,
how then are citizens then supposed to feel? How do we know then that people will be protected? The people who live in this area of Capedo, for example, how do they feel? How would they have any kind of security in their minds and also physically that something will be done about what's facing them?
we've not turned a blind eye. I spend almost 80% of my time in this Rift Valley, on the problems facing the North Rift. And the challenges we have there is that you give me a djembe to go and dig, then you tie my hands. And they are saying, work, work, work. It's almost unlawful today as we speak for us even to carry out forceful disarmament because of issues of human rights. So basically, the world is encouraging voluntary surrender of firearms. They may have worked in other countries, and maybe the same is being imposed on Kenya to do likewise. But in this region, when you go to talk peace, in fact, what I've realized, you go there and have peace meetings. When you leave, people will be attacked by these criminals just to prove that that was nothing.
Right.
But having peace meetings is a demonstration of weakness. That's why it does not work. In fact, since 1984, when the forceful disarmament was done in West Pokot, where even the military was involved, we've not done anything thereafter. Every time we try even a bit of just using some little force, it's politicized, make a lot of noise, women have been raped. Things are stage managed to make fun houses are being burned. I think the policemen are the ones who are doing this. Then somehow it gets stopped. But this time around, we believe we are going to do a thorough job. We are doing it very slowly. We are not in a hurry. Because the issue of expecting that we'll be there for 1 week, they'll post whatever they've been doing. You kill 2-3 policemen, then we coil our tails and run. But this time around, we are there for the long haul, and we believe we are going to solve this problem.
The problems.
But you know, when I hear you say this, Bonarsi, I feel that as long as you're not going for the head of this snake, whatever you're doing with the tail, trying to chop it off in small bits, will still not do much. Because like you said, these are powerful people who are able to arm locals, people who are able then to get these animals into the market, to get them supplied through the market, make so much money out of it. These people have power and influence. At what point do we go for those?
We're going for them. We've started with associates. As you can see, some of them have already recorded statements. The obvious was the ones that, the tip of the iceberg, the one that you see. But they are linked to others, the big ones who are operating beneath the water. Luckily, we have got sufficient intelligence on these people. But the weakest link in the criminal justice system, of course, normally is the court. The threshold for proving cases sometimes is too high. And these guys are not stupid. They don't leave any footprints. And the way cartels operate, sometimes they don't know each other in the chain. But we have got sufficient reason to believe that some of our leaders are directly involved in this thing. And that's why whenever we start doing this kind of work, we hear them calling press conferences and making all sorts of allegations. Previously, the government has been hearing them. I'm sure by now we'll have been told, no, don't do this. And then you see also have been withdrawn. But for now, we want to get to the bottom of this. And as I said the other day, we are going to expose these people at some point if they don't do what we've asked them to do. Of course, I know exposing them may not be sufficient. We need to expose them and actually take them to court. Otherwise, we're just going to be mere allegations. But knowing what we have as intelligence, I strongly believe that those characters you see running around the shooters are not the problem. The problem are those who are behind those characters. Again, there are some leaders who procure firearms themselves. It's not like they just give them money to go and procure firearms. they go to those places. Some of them, you look at that travel histories that they to Garissa. When somebody from Kapedo go to Garissa 5 times in a month and is there's got no meeting there. He has got no appointment to go meet the governor or his fellow MCA there. But you find 5 times going to Garissa. Do what there? So they believe that we get firearms from Uganda. But again, I was starting to get an indication that some of these firearms come as far as Garissa. So the leaders are involved. They're not providing leadership. They're providing confusion in that area. And they believe that as long as you arm your people and they're always fighting, and you tell yourself that they are leaders, they are protectors, you are assured of getting votes. So in that kind of circumstance now, somebody like me has come from us and there. I need support of these people. They're not providing this support. You go to a place like West Pokot, for instance. The governor of West Pokot has been on the forefront in terms of assisting us get to the solution of this problem. And now we've got a semblance of peace between Turkana and West Pokot. Turkana South and West Pokot, we have got some semblance of peace. And even our relationship with Uganda on the other side is quite good. But in this Capedo area, the leaders are the problem, because they're even pushing the narrative of marginalization and creating unnecessary sense of siege amongst the people. This is for the first time where I've participated in an operation where you send officers and actually the citizens stage a fight back, a serious gunfight. They're fighting officers and they're fighting like military units.
Yeah.
You remember, these guys have been recruited in the forces over time during the Kano era. None of them were recruited in the forces. They went with the police. Some of them have retired, some of them resigned. And you go fighting these people, you're just basically fighting against yourself because they're trained as our officers. So the problem is a bit bigger than what Kenyans are perceiving it.
Let me ask this question, Natembeya. I am CT Muga. You've mentioned this problem of cattle rustling, but is this the only problem that region has?
The problem is the resource is cattle, and people are fighting over cattle. So you get a firearm and you go and raid neighboring communities, and somehow you raid 500 heads of cattle and they just disappear. Well, they are transported somewhere else. Some of the officers on the road were supposed to enforce some of these regulations, like do not transport animals in the evening. Down the road, then somebody has made a budget for them, so they will not arrest anybody. So the problem is a very, very, very big one. But we believe that once we sort out the problem of illicit firearms in that area, we're about 80% done with the problem, so that we move to the next level where now we want to address issues of infrastructure, have proper roads network there, have proper schools, have water. Most of the water that is consumed in a place like Capedo comes from Marigat. There's no water there. And even the issues of the we don't have sufficient number of schools. Children must walk long distances to go to school. There are no boarding schools there. So we have got a problem that we need to address. Immediate one is about sorting out the issue of security. Then going forward, how do we bring now the entire area into the Kenyan community, because they're still like that. That's allowed.
The reason why I asked this question, Natembeya, is this. When there's the sort of chaos that we now witness in that area, and if I'm to go by what you've mentioned, that they probably are people who are behind it, there are people who benefit from this chaos. And I'm asking myself, yes, cattle is a resource, but are there natural resources in that region as well?
There are. And there's a lot of potential underground. And that's why we believe that even those who are fueling some of these disputes have got an eye on those resources. Because some are saying we've got a boundary dispute between Turkana East and Baringo East, but I don't believe that's true. Because you go to our maps, all the maps, they indicate clearly where Capedo is. And nobody has given condition that we cannot share those resources as communities in that area. So it's not an issue of the boundary. And as a matter of fact, We have got the people who have moved from Baringo, moved over 100 kilometers inside Turkana, and have settled Turkana. From there, they're claiming to be part of Baringo. Why is someone so interested in expanding the boundaries of Baringo County into Turkana County? And that area again has got lush pasture. There is water, things that are good for livestock farming. But we believe these resources, given a proper conducive environment, they can be shared. You don't have to shed blood. You don't have to pull somebody else from that area so you can benefit.
There are those who actually have this view that the problems didn't begin recently, because there was a time in our history, maybe two presidents prior to this one, one president prior to this one, when that area had several chiefs. Like you'd find a chief in this and Capedo. It's like there's Capedo in Turkana, there's Capedo in Baringo, there's Capedo, and they even had chiefs and assistant chiefs. So when you have this sort of situation, it isn't something that has generally developed naturally. It's something that has been created.
In Capedo, administrative, there's no ambiguity. Administratively, I know as a regional commissioner with 14 counties, I know where the boundaries for all my 14 counties are. And I know that the person who's responsible for Capedo, who reports on Capedo, is the county commissioner for Turkana, and the deputy county commissioner, the DC, for Turkana East, who's based in Lokori. I also have DCCs in Baringo, one in Ginyang, another one in Tanguni Bay, who border that particular area. But you know, when you commit a crime and get away with it and you benefit, you develop that culture of impunity. Because after the killing of those officers, I think it was in 2014, things just went south because we did nothing about it. And then we found officers there without very, very clear what we're supposed to be doing. This idea called changeover. You go there for 6 months, and then now you leave, another team comes. You don't have to do anything. Just go there and mark time. And as long as you are not killed. So you go there and draw some kind of arrangement with the bandits that no, will not touch you, and also don't touch us. Where in the world do we operate like that?
Absolutely.
So that's what we are saying now. The rule of law must be enforced, and we want this human rights people also goes law on these things, because every life matters. When a cop is killed, like those who are killed, I'm not that anybody talk about it. But when a bandit is shot dead, you think the world is ending.
But you said you're very resolute about saying that this time around things are not going to go as they had before. That this time something will be done about it. And I mean, I believe you when I hear you say it. But it would also seem as if that you would need support right across board. Is that support available to you, Bwana-RC? And can you feel that, okay, yes, I know that something needs to be done about this as yourself, as George Natembeya, but do you have the support of other people who would be critical in making sure that this stops and that whatever historical resource issues are there will be sorted out? Do you have that support? Because you need it.
Personally, I'm very, very reluctant to get the local support because it's not honest support. People will come on board, and the only agenda will be to frustrate and sabotage the exercise. They'll come and tell you, Natembeya, let's give us 2 weeks, we'll bring the firearms. Then after 2 weeks, they say we are still talking. Give us another 2 weeks, then another week, and then it will be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and the thing just fizzles out. That's what they've been doing. They'll come with very good intentions, but I don't think there is any leader in that area as we speak now who is interested in peace, because they continue being leaders. The fact that you're out there to support those bandits because they call the shots, and any leader who appears to be preaching peace, immediately you'll get an opponent who is a more warlord coming up and taking all the support. So they're all checking each other and see who is a more warlord, And some of them come to government, cleverly just to come to government so that they can know what plans the government has. They don't come there with good intentions. So personally, I'm very like we are going to use now the hardware this time around and see how far we go. If they feel at some point they want to come on board, they'll come on our terms. But we're not going to agree with them as equals now. We're regarding them, all of them as suspects. And I'm saying this is one year of contradiction.
But Natembeya, every time we have a conversation with you, it's refreshing to hear a public officer speaking as resolutely as you do. I look back, though, at all the conflicts that we have, not just in Capedo, in Baragoi, but even in other parts. Now we have issues in Isiolo. I know it's not your region, but it's in the country. And every time we hear people saying political influence is at play here. There are people who have got political power that are involved in this, but we never see them taken to court. How can you assure the people of Capedo that this time round, I, as George Natembeya, I'm going to make sure that the head of this hydra is killed?
The head is going to be slain. No doubt about it. We've got a very, very structured plan. We want to turn Capedo upside down. Of course, those characters know that there are some places which are completely inaccessible, and sometimes they hold advantage over us. Over years, they have created a lot of fear in our police officers because they've been killing them like rats. Let me just be blunt. And that's why our officers have been relying on or carrying out these operations using these armored personnel carriers. They won't leave those armored personnel carriers. But we've now moved beyond that. We want to go the infant's way, and where they are, we are going to go there. They see us, we're also going to see them. Of course, the problem with the political leadership in this country, people don't seek for political positions to serve the people. They don't realize that leadership is actually in Muzigo. You have to carry people's burdens. They look at it as a stage of self-actualization. Yep. Where you go there and be very comfortable, and you are served, you are calling Mheshimiwa, and doors are open for you, you are saluted everywhere. And it doesn't really matter what's happening on that common man down there. For me, I look at it the other way around. That leadership is about carrying other people's burdens. That put yourself in the shoes of that old woman who's now running around in Capedo because bullets are flying all over the place. And feel that as a leader you are responsible. But for them, when such a things happen now, they say that Natembeya is responsible for this. I'm not causing mayhem. I just want to restore law and order in that place. And we've not done a proper operation since 1984 when one was carried out in West Pokot. We've been doing it in small doses. We start, and then politicians come in, then we stop. It's like somebody sick, they're given a full dose of malaria. Then after 2 or 3 days, they feel good and they stop. They stop taking the medication. What happens now? They develop resistance. Next time, if you give the same medication, it may not work. Yeah. This time, you are saying people are going to get a full dose. Let's say at the end of this treatment, we is going to how that area is going to look like. Okay. And the area has got a lot of potential. We just have to get this missing link called security. Sort it out. Capedo will just grow naturally.
Let's hear from Felix Odhiambo, who calls in from Ugenya and says he'd like to participate in this conversation. Felix, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
I think to begin with, Natembeya, I'd like to tell him that if you are a politician, I wouldn't need to vote for him. He has a sweet tongue. Because to begin with, he admits that 70% of the meat that we consume in Nakuru and Nairobi comes from this cattle rustling business. Yeah. They know the politicians are involved. They also are aware that this meat arrives at night. So he says that it's not a business that operates during daytime, it operates during nighttime. So what are the measures that they are placing into this meat from reaching Nairobi over the night? Because knowing it comes in during the night means that you already know the place, the time, and the modality of which this meat is actually traveling to Nakuru. Why can't they place in appropriate measures to stop this meat from reaching our market? Second of all, the root cause of this kind of conflict in Rift Valley, culture, issues to do with the inheritance. issues to do with there are some communities which are actually I've done peace and conflict. There are communities whereby parents or the fathers are teaching their sons how to make guns. Okay, so it's not about small arms proliferation whereby they are just buying guns from outside. There are communities whereby children are being taught how to make guns and to use it. Apart from this operation of confiscating these small arms, what is Natembeya doing to stop this cultural practice of children being taught how to make guns and use guns afterwards? Because if you do not stop this culture as well, the problem will continue. And the government also
want
needs
to ask a question out of ignorance here. Do you know for a fact that there are communities where children are actually being taught how to manufacture or to make guns?
This is something we were taught in class. And I'm actually planning to write a thesis on the same, because it's one of the, when it comes to operations whereby the government confiscates guns, or the community returns guns to the hands of the government, the police, during operation, you still find that after a short while, the community still goes on, and you still find some more guns. But when you look at the guns, they are not guns that have actually been bought from somewhere. They are actually crafted. So meaning that the community has as well learned the knowledge of how to make these guns. And this knowledge is being passed from father to son and from father to son.
I want to tap into your knowledge again, Felix. Tell me, which communities do we see such practices? Go ahead, please.
Mainly in class, what we were told was that in Turkana, Samburu, and Pokot communities, the cultural practice of the parents or the father is that when they actually teach their sons this kind of practice. There are sections of the community with the knowledge, whereby the knowledge is being passed on. You see. And when this happens, it doesn't matter whether the guns are coming from outside or from elsewhere. The community itself has the knowledge of how to fabricate these weapons. Yes.
How so you say you were taught this in class?
Yes.
What class? What were you studying then, if we may ask?
Peace and conflict management at master's level.
Okay. So was there any corroboration of information coming in from various sources saying, indeed, this is what is happening, for example, and it's rampant in this way? Or is it was it anecdotal?
It was an anecdotal kind of information, and we were told actually that we can actually look at that when we are writing our thesis to see whether it's also one of the issues that is propelling this gun violence within pastoralist communities. But when you again go further, the structural conflict that has been inflicted in these communities, you look that some areas are more developed, but these communities have resisted knowledge and development. Yet they are one of the poorest regions in this country. So when such a community, you don't have resources and you need to marry, like the cultural practice of issuing cattle, dowry. You don't have the cattle, you need to give dowry so that you can marry. It forces the community to go into such kind of, the boy child to find cattle rustling as one of the lucrative kind of businesses that they can engage in. So if we can tackle structural violence in this area, we bring education, we bring development, roads, everything. You see, these things give the community a source of revenue whereby they don't need to rely on rustling.
Meaning they have to be provided with a substitute for what it is that they have culturally believed in for the longest time.
Exactly. They need an alternative source of livelihood.
All right.
Because if the boy child has been brought to believe that the only way to make wealth is to raid cattle and such work, you need another alternative for the community, whereby the parents and the community will see that, okay, if I take my child to this school, if they are taught, and then there's this employment opportunity, they'll make some income. So in that kind of conflict, at the moment the government ignores the
Felix, I think we have a problem now with your line, but thank you very much for your contribution and thank you for sharing what you've shared this morning. Let's now bring in one of the local leaders in this area, and this is Taity MP William Kamket, who joins us on the line now. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
And thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the Situation Room.
Asante.
Now, Kamket, you are one of the leaders in the area, Taity MP. Recently, you were, let's just put it this way, you were called in by the police for one or two words and then you were let go. We were having a conversation in the past 30 minutes with the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner, George Natembeya, who tells us that there is the cultural societal issue, and then there's the manufactured conflict about boundary on where Capedo lies. And then there's the other bit, which is commercial crime, basically. People stealing cows so that they can go and sell them to the market for money. And he says many of the local leaders, those who have influence, including political leaders, have a role to play in this. What do you say to that?
First of all, as I speak to you this morning, I am still in mourning because we have lost too many people in the last 1 week, both security and civilians. So I am deeply, deeply affected by this problem. And apart from the loss of lives, we have our people also whose only source of livelihood, their livestock, were killed deliberately by police. And and then we have a lot of displacement in terms of people who have had to run away, mostly innocent women and children and business people who have been profiled and targeted. People have moved away. The entire economy of the large Anginyang area is collapsed. Chemolingot, which is our biggest, the headquarters of our Taity West Sub-County, today in Ginyang Market, which is Chemolingot is a ghost town now. There are no schools which are open in that region at all, not a single one of them. Or even if they are open, but they are not children. Today is Ginyang Market, one of the biggest markets. I think it's the second largest livestock market in the country. And I've called this morning. I'm told there is no market today. If you go to Ginyang on a normal Monday, you'll find about average 3,000 goats being sold, and more than 400 cows per week. So our whole economy is collapsed. Now, onto the matter of criminality, there's a matter under investigation. I was called, yes, but I was not called. I was arrested like a tag. But that I leave that to the police. It's their tactics. I don't approve of them. It's their tactics. But so I cannot say much on the matters under investigation. But what I can say is that yes, it is true. There is a criminal element of killings and that kind of stuff. And then there is, the traditional cat rustling is no more. But we have criminals who have commercialized this matter. And there are some mistakes that the state makes to assume that we, as the elected leaders of that region, are in any way connected to those criminals. It's a fallacy, and no one is safe from those criminals. We have records of chiefs and their assistant chiefs who have been killed or who have injuries as we speak, trying to follow up and try to recover stolen livestock.
Mweshimiwa, if I can come in and ask you a question here. I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, talking about it's a fallacy to think that local leaders would be involved in this. Why then do you think that local leaders would be then amongst the first suspects on the side of the security agencies? Just as we've heard from the Rift Valley Commissioner this morning. Why would they bring that in as an element? Why would they then go in and arrest? Why would they do that?
Let me put it this way. It is the easiest thing to do. It is the easiest thing to do to try. There is this thing about Interior, Ministry of Interior, there's something called escapism, escaping from the reality. Okay, and trying to it is always the easiest thing to try and blame leaders, because in any okay, granted, the buck stops here. I'm the leader for Taity. That is true. I'm supposed to be responsible and what, but what's my role? What is the role of a member of parliament? Clearly, but the easiest thing is to try and blame leaders. What are you doing? What have you done? But if you go deeply into the matter, this is a historical issue, and we have to go back to the sessional paper number 10 of 1966 that said that let us develop the highlands where there is quicker returns. You remember that? Now, if you want to go to Lokori Lodwa from Nakuru, the shortest route is to go through Nginyang, Chemolingot, Kapedo, Lokori, then Lodwa. The route from Nakuru to Mau Summit, Eldoret, Kitale, Kapenguria, if you from people of Kenya National Highways Authority, they tell us that if you do this route through Capedo, you cut off about 160 kilometers. This is the shortest route. But why isn't this route being done? Because this is a dry land. There is no agriculture or something like that because of sessional paper number 10 that developed the highlands. So you have to go all round to Kitale. But if this road, and I want to give you the example of the road from Isiolo, Moyale, Marsabit, Moyale. That road completely changed that region. Now, we have been crying to the state, including my Turkana brother, can we do this road from Nakuru, Chemolingot, Capedo, Lokori, Lodwa? That way, you will open up that region completely. And you will open the region. Capedo is just a tiny fraction of that land. It's a whole huge tract of land that is useless. It has become the wild west of these gangsters because of absence of government.
I hear what you're saying, Bwana Kamket, and yes, you're talking about marginalization and underdevelopment of the region. However, how do you then bring those two in the year 2021 to the cause of the recent attacks, cattle rustling in the area between one community that is living in the same marginalized area with another community that's living in that marginalized area? How do you bring the two and say it's because of underdevelopment, of marginalization, that this community attacked the other community and killed them and stole their cows?
Eric Latif, I went to school with you. And these things I'm telling you, I used to tell you when we were in school together.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this matter, you're lucky, my friend, my brother, that you live in Nairobi. How many police stations are in Nairobi?
Quite a number.
Okay. Yes. Now, listen. How many schools are in Nairobi? How many facilities are in Nairobi and in the neighborhood? In Kajiado, in Kiambu, in
Machakos.
Now listen, Taity constituency is 5,000 square kilometers. Do you understand? 5,000 square kilometers, and 5,000 square kilometers with two police stations. The first police station, the second police station was just done recently. It's not even fully. It's not even worth calling a police station.
It's a police post.
Yes. 2. This is 5,000 square kilometers of land, and it's not just land. The population of Taity from the last census was 200-something thousand people. Okay. So really, So we have a situation of complete absence of law enforcement agencies in a very large population. And then 2, we have that larger region from Pokot, Taity, East Pokot, towards West Pokot, Sigor, parts of Sigor constituency, and now extending to Turkana, okay, all the way up to Samburu. That whole region has not had any serious presence of government. So much so that now, these are people who keep livestock, okay? You must understand. People, or maybe you have a farm. If somebody extends a beacon from your farm, okay, you have time to go and report to whoever
local chief,
police or whoever,
and then have dispute resolution.
And you can have that matter resolved, okay, because the land does not move, just the beacon which was moved. But this is livestock which has legs; they move. These people have no education. They have no land to see. But they have nothing else apart from this.
Well, let me just pause you there. I'm not hearing you answer the question.
I'm not justifying anything. You must get me right. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying, you must understand the situation, the reality.
I'm trying to do that, and that's why I'm asking, with all that reality on the ground, you yourself have said that, yes, you agree there is criminal elements who've taken up this whole business of cattle rustling.
Yes.
And they've taken advantage of various factors, including the marginalization and the development of the area, including the cultural practices of the communities that live there. So from the criminal side of things, which is where we find people being killed, where we find your local constituents have been killed, where police officers and chiefs are getting killed, how would you explain that? That it is allowed to happen year in, year out. This is not the first time. We're talking about 2013 Capedo. Now it's Capedo. We had the other areas. How would you explain this thing happening over and over and over again?
How would you explain the continued marginalization over and over again?
Mheshimiwa, there's something I'd like to ask you here.
I'm bringing the question back to you.
Right?
Yes.
What is there anything that has been done to improve the lives of those people?
You tell me. You are the MP now. You are the county speaker before this. So with the onset of devolution, with the government now, you sit in parliament. What has happened to redress what happened in the session of paper number 10?
Taity constituency, which is 5,000 square kilometers, I have 100 million for CDF. Just like Westlands constituency, we share the same 100 million for CDF. Okay?
But what's the population of Westlands, Mheshimiwa?
But Westlands belongs to all Kenyans.
You see, what you're saying makes perfect sense, Mheshimiwa.
There is skewed allocation of resources.
So what have the local leaders? What have the local leaders done over time? So now we have a county government in Baringo. We have a county government in Baringo, a county government in Turkana, a county government in West Pokot, a county government in even Elgeyo Marakwet. We have members of parliament, members of senate who are senior party leaders, who are senators, who are leaders from this region. What have the local leaders done to address
Let me
these
speak
issues?
for myself. I do not know about the other leadership. Let me speak for myself. I was elected in 2017. From 2017 up to now, if you look at my records from the CDF office, we have done already 8 secondary schools. We are doing, through help by Kenya Pipeline Corporation now, we are doing the first high school in Silale ward. The first high school, a whole ward, worth 10 million. For the last several years, there has been no high school. Silale ward alone does not even have a church. There is no single church in Silale. So we are in those 3 or 4 years now. We have been as MP. We've done 8 secondary schools. We've done several primary schools in terms of improvement of classes and new ones, and establishing new ones. I'm doing the first medical training college in Chemolingo. First ever medical training college in Chemolingot.
Well, I can understand that you're talking about the development agenda and how that has changed. However, there are criminal aspects that are if I may ask, that are going on right now.
Who is this lady who speaks when I'm speaking? Why are you speaking when I'm speaking?
But I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question because we're clear about what it is that is happening in terms of development in your area. That we're very clear about. But at the same time, there are criminal aspects that are also going on at the same time. Are you saying that this criminality is happening as a result of marginalization? That's why it's going on? Is that why this is happening?
I am saying, you know, let me tell you, my dear sister, I don't know your name.
My name is Ndu. My name is Ndu.
Undu.
Yes.
Let me tell you, my sister. Criminality thrives on two things. One, rate of success of the criminal act, and two, impunity. Okay? When a criminal decides to commit a crime and succeeds, two, and he has, and then there is impunity. There is not apprehended. It gives the others impetus to go and commit the same crime. That has been the problem. And that's why I was asking, why is it that we are so under-policed? Why? Why is it that we are so... Actually, that in terms of criminality, why is it that we are so under-policed? Why? That is the question.
Okay.
Because now, I was asking how many police stations are in Nairobi. You told me there are quite many. How many are in Taity? 2. Taity is 5,000 square kilometers. And the next constituency, which is Turkana East, I don't know how big it is. You can Google. It's the same. My brother MP for Turkana East is as frustrated as I am. Okay, even the member for parliament for Samburu North, who is my neighbor, is as frustrated as I am. So we have this whole area that is has a complete absence of state machinery, and so both hard state machinery and soft state machinery in terms of policing and in terms of also road network. Okay, you can't go to any of those places because of poor road network. The little money we get from Kera, we get 20 million per year. So for routine maintenance of the normal roads between Chemolingot, Tangul Bay, Kolowa, but the whole area, there is no money to do roads in those places. 2, even the watering area. Now, as we speak, people are fighting over the waters of Suguta River, which is the only permanent source of water at Kapedo. Now, that is one of the biggest problems as we speak now. The Pokot bring their livestock there. Security forces come and they don't want the Pokot to bring their livestock there because they think they are a threat. It becomes it's an annual vicious.
It becomes
circle.
a vicious circus.
Yes. So instead of now saying, let us do more pandams, let us spread this livestock, let us spread these people, where is that money? I have been talking to the PS for water came to Chemolingot last week before these skirmishes came. I requested for pandams. Luckily, he gave us 2. But if he had the money, I do not know. But if he would have given me more than 20. Okay? Because that is what we need. It's a dry season now.
So a lot needs to be done to basically change the fortunes and the livelihoods of the people around there.
Marshall Plan. That place, in my view, and my views are out there, it needs a serious, deliberate, sustained Marshall Plan over a long period of time to ensure, number one, that the road network is expanded. 2, build schools, enough boarding schools, not just schools. 3, I said about the road network, and then the water, and then the policing.
We'll follow up on that. I want to thank you very much, William Kamket, for speaking to us.
Unless that is done, we will always be hearing these stories, unfortunately. And on the small matter of boundaries, I want to say this, that if Mr. Natembeya was honest enough, in the handing over notes that he got from his predecessor, he should go back and look at the boundary matter of Capedo. It's not a big deal as such. For me, as Kamket, I don't care where Capedo lies. What I want is peaceful coexistence of the people. If the government is feeling shy to determine the boundary of Capedo, fine. As long as that place is developed, we will live together with our brothers at Turkana and other neighbors.
William Kamket,
development of that area.
Thank you very much. We've run out of time, and thank you very much for speaking to us today. We'll speak to you again as this matter unfolds and see what needs to be done, what needs to be addressed in the area. William Kamket is the MP for Taity constituency. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and have a good day.